What's up, welcome back, Nowstalgia. Dave here with a review of Aespa's second album, Lemonade. Aespa, of course, the SM Entertainment K-pop superstars who had a mammoth 2024 before slipping back last year, are now back to set things right in terms of their status within the K-pop world. With that mammoth 2024, no one had a better year in K-pop than Aespa did. I'll stand on that to this day because it was just hit after hit, banger after banger. You had the Supernova Armageddon double punch to start the year, concluding with the Whiplash project to end the year. In between, you also had banger Japanese stuff like Hot Mess. You had the Karina solo banger Up. They absolutely crushed. And they really killed that momentum last year with Rich Man really falling flat compared to their previous two projects. Even the loose single Dirty Work didn't really do enough to turn that tide for me. But man, I just love that music from 2 years ago so much that I'd really been hoping they would get back to what made that music so good. And I think they definitely did that with Lemonade. Aespa's second album, Lemonade, definitely gets them back to their strengths of 2 years ago following the success of Supernova, Armageddon, and Whiplash. We've moved well beyond the lackluster Rich Man into this new Lemonade project, which really sticks to Aespa at their absolute strengths. This album is almost exclusively electronic production. There is a ton of hip-hop on this album. I think the 4 Aespa members sound incredible on this almost the entire time. The energy level, the aggression, the delivery style that they all bring. To me, this is Aespa at their absolute best. Is this Aespa at their most vocally dominant? No, but it's definitely their most cohesive project to date. I think the sound and conception of this album really lands. And almost all of the B-sides on this album have their merits as well. This is not a top-heavy album. I think there's a lot here to really appreciate and it's worth revisiting. And I'm just really happy they were able to get back to delivering some true quality once again, because last year was just such a buzzkill following their true breakthrough, their true ascent to superstardom 2 years ago. And there's something to be said for a group like Aespa sticking to their strengths, sticking to what's previously worked for them, and doing it at a high level versus other groups recently on some other labels that are more keen to continue to reinvent and chase sounds and chase trends. Aespa is more in the camp of we'll set the trend. And a lot of the electronic production that you're hearing in modern K-pop today across groups and labels, you can trace a lot of that to what Whiplash accomplished 2 years ago. Now with this Lemonade album, we got the lead single recently, Whole Different Animal, featuring none other than G-Dragon. You know, there was probably a time where G-Dragon never would have been featured on an SM song. Of course, G-Dragon is no longer a YG artist, but still it's an interesting crossover to say the least. I don't think he frankly adds too much to the song vocally. He might have had a bigger hand in the co-writing aspect of it, but I like the song. I think it hits. I thought it was a cool single, and most importantly, a nice statement of intent of where this album was going in terms of vibe, in terms of energy. I think all the members sound really great. Some really cool harmonization on the pre-chorus there. And you have Karina giving you this very aggressive hip-hop flow, which is reminiscent of her solos, reminiscent of her at her most memorable when she's been doing rapping. And that continues throughout most of this album. The title track, Lemonade, has this propulsive electro house beat, Whiplash vibes through and through for sure. But ultimately, it's a good tempo. I think the hook is a little thin here, but ultimately it works for me because that delivery, that screeching delivery they do on parts of the chorus, I think that really lands, it really works, really sells the song. Specifically that I'll Make You Lemonade vocal line. Shaking might be my favorite song here. Hard-ass flow from Karina over this bouncy beat, another great chorus. Love the energy, love the delivery. You know, if you think of a great Aespa hip-hop song, I would think of something like this. Can't help myself. First noticeable vibe shift to start the album, with a strumming guitar very present. Some nice vocal harmonies on the chorus, some fun call and response there as well. It's solid. Camouflage, though, is the first, I think, so-so track here. Another vocal shift once again, this more twinkly bass drum. Vocally is just a bit more reserved. The chorus is high tempo, but I think for a song like this, which is not a hip-hop track and is more mid-tempo, I'd want to hear more of Aespa's vocal strength on a song like that than you end up hearing. Of course, Aespa, as most SM artists you'd expect, tremendous singers, right? When you hear Ning Ning or especially Winter really sing, it pops. Those winter high notes are well known at this point. You don't really hear too much of them on this album, which is certainly a choice, but again, they've leaned in a different direction with this, a direction that they found success. The song Bite, another rap banger. This one's super hard. I think Giselle in particular is really bringing it here. I just love this energy from them. The Ning Ning vocals on the pre-chorus also, to me, really pop. There's just some fun little affectation and flair to make those notes land just a little bit stronger. And I think the attitude is there on the chorus. I quite enjoy it. And God, I think the second verse from Karina, that rapping, again, super hard. I mean, one line in particular, like these series of bars, I was like, these are like legit bars here that I expect from a more traditional rap song. I mean, what you wanna, I'm here to slay, here to conquer, eat 'em up like candy, now they call me Willy Wonka. I mean, Karina calling herself Willy Wonka, like I love everything about that line. Great job to everyone involved there. Switchblade, this is the first song with a repetitive dull hook. That's often a sin you find in K-pop tracks where the hook, the chorus is just not there. I think this is definitely one of those, but again, the beat is great. It's up-tempo, it's electro again. It saves itself from being a complete miss. I think Ty Dolla $ign just okay. He doesn't really add too much here. I mean, Ty, I don't think of him on electronic production when he's at his best, so it's a bit of a weird choice, honestly. I think this song just wasn't fully formed. It's like half an idea in the end. Definitely one of the most confusing songs here. But the most confusing song, of course, would have to be Roll, with its very overt row your boat interpolation. Why was that thought of as a good idea? I'm not sure. Perhaps SM and Aespa saw Le Seraphim sample Macarena on Boompala recently and said, hold my beer, we can do one better than that. Row your boat gently down the stream. I mean, that's quite the thing to reference. Ultimately, after that sample aside, I think the rest of the song is a lot more well conceived and surprisingly lands the plane. The drums are strong. It ends up being a lot more interesting than I was expecting from the start. My plan, this is a true downshift. I think that it's got a bubbly chorus, definitely more synthy though. I think production-wise, it kind of sounds a bit out of place, a bit fillery compared to the rest of the project. Not necessary, really. Then Till We Die, again, brings the guitar back, much more anthemic and high energy, which perhaps you could say was a little bit out of place from the production style, but I still think it works pretty well. And then you have Lemonade again with a Becky G feature, which of course was totally superfluous. But shout out Aespa, man. 5 years in, right? I mean, they're kind of, to me at this point, the preeminent girl group of the 2020s with New Jeans, everything that happened to New Jeans, right? Aespa's kind of obviously to me at the top at this point. And I think this is up there for one of their best projects, definitely one of their most cohesive, but I think there's a lot of depth here, a lot of songs worth revisiting, and I'm quite pleased with it. Did they give us another release at the end of the year? Not sure. This was a full length, thankfully a full length album, right? 11 songs, really 10, but a lot of material here for once, which is great. You just don't get that enough in K-pop, as I always say. But yeah, let me know, what'd you think of Aespa's second album, Lemonade? What'd you like most about it? And for more music reviews, more K-pop reviews, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.